Hey y'all, this is Rod coming at you from the treehouse. Actually, this is the last month I'll be in the treehouse, and this is February the 11th. I'm here with my old pal Jason Lollar, and we are reminiscing about this little creative project we put together some years ago. And this is a music demonstration instrument that I call the Harmonochord. And this process began for me when shortly after I moved to Vashon, I met my intellectual mentor, a gentleman named Don Barry. And Don turned me on to the whole math and music connection. And over the years, I aspired to make a monochord, which is the instrument that Pythagoras used to discover the mathematical structure of the scale. Okay, well, if Pythagoras knew that, he got it from the Egyptians. Okay, so that's it. But that's another story, and we'll get on to that at some other point in time. So what I wanted to do was just sit down with Jason and for us to rehash the memories and record it for the future. And so what kind of the thing that actually led to the creation of this instrument was, from on my end, was I was always looking for the answer to a particular question, and that was, how come there's not a half step between B and C and E and F, and there's a half step everywhere else, there's a black key everywhere else? How come that was the case? Did you did you ever wonder about that one?
Not really, but probably have to think about it for a while.
So I would go to every music teacher, every player that I ran into. It's like, do you know why, that's the case? And so the answer that I got most of the time, probably 90% of the time, was, that's just the way it is.
Well, yeah. How did they decide what? Obviously there's only a certain amount of notes in our scale, in the Western scale. There's many more in a Indian scale. But how do they decide it's going to be between F and B?
Yeah. So I could never get an answer to that. And so the other thing I was doing was go into every library and bookstore I could find, and going through the music books and stuff. And so I was in the Vashon library one Saturday afternoon, and I came across this book that I've never been able to find since. And I want to say the name of it was How Music Works. And it explained the process that Pythagoras had used to create the whole scale. Okay, because usually in the when they tell the story, all they ever talk about is that he discovered the octave. Okay, he divided the string in half.
Right.
He divided it into thirds.
Figure out all the intervals.
Yeah. Well, most books that you read only talk about the perfect intervals. Mm-hmm. Okay, the octave, the fourth, and the fifth, and they don't tell
the whole story about the Pythagorean comma and all that.
Yeah, the rest of the notes in the scale. Yeah. The second, the third, the sixth, the seventh. How did they show up?
And how did they decide that C was going to be the first note?
Okay, yeah. Okay, now I'm still chasing that one.
Why would it be C, for good God, man?
Right, okay, well...
It should be A.
Right, okay, exactly. So there's two threads I'm on relative to that. One is that if you notice, a full 88 key piano starts on A. Okay, and the reason that I noticed that was because on this poster, on the original 201, okay, I drew an 88.
An A.
Okay, and
organs are different. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Yeah, I think they start at C.
Okay,
So they're different. Yeah.
Okay, so
why?
Well, it has to do with the physical constraints of the gear. Now, so in terms of the issue of why did C end up being the key with all the white keys. One thing that I read is that the standard monochord design of the time, that note landed at C, and there was a marking on the monochord that said C. Okay, so it was one of those things like the Fahrenheit thermometer, right, which has this
32. Freezing.
Okay, so you know that he drew his scale out beforehand. Okay, and then shoved it in the water.
Okay, so
yeah. Okay.
It could be something like that for sure.
Yeah, so that's what I'm suspecting. Okay, so you combine that with the notion that the pianoforte keyboard, the first key is an A. Okay, so they started that on A, right? And that may be the one that
they probably had to put the black keys in so that it'd make it easier to make chords. Otherwise, if they were all linear,
oh yeah,
make it hard to be,
and they tried, all manner of keyboard. I mean, there would be 3 banks of keys instead of just 2, and all this crazy, crazy stuff.
Sure.
So I started writing the column for the ticket with Hamish.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
Natural Philosopher.
Yeah. And I was it was the Vashon Islander Affair. Okay, it was 1999, and Haim had invited me to bring the posters out and set up
these posters.
Yeah. And set up beside the table, the ticket table. And so some folks from the Oregon Country Fair were there, saw the posters, and invited me down to do a Natural Philosopher gig down there. So I needed a monochord. So I wanna say that Richard Lipke was who I talked to. And I'm like, who could help me with that, And he's like, call Jason Lollar.
Yeah.
So that's when I called you the first time.
That's probably one of the only instrument makers on Vashon Island, probably.
Without a doubt. And you were building guitars primarily.
Yeah.
So when did the pickup thing really kind of become the centerpiece?
Mid-90s, and then I quit my full-time job in 2000. So we made this probably in the late 90s or something.
We made, so the Oregon Country Fair was 2000.
2000?
Okay, so we made, remember, and I looked around for it today and I couldn't find it. I made an acoustic one initially.
I don't remember that.
Okay, so I came by the shop and
you had one.
No, the first time I came over is when you turned me on to that book, Experimental Musical Instruments.
Bart Hopkins.
Bart, okay. And your immediate suggestion was that we do a 2-string. Okay, so one of the strings is left open, like this guy here.
Right, so you can do comparisons.
Yeah, so you've always got the tonic note that you can reference, so you get the whole interval thing. So that popped immediately, and then
because originally it was a single string monochord.
Yeah.
So this is a dual chord.
This is a new thing, man. We invented this thing, man. So I went home with Bart's book and found this thing called a harmonics guitar in there. Okay, and the deal with the harmonics guitar, I mean, it's very much like this thing, except you got a full-on fretboard.
Yes.
And you play it on this side, okay?
But it hears it over here?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I see.
Yeah, and the pickup's over here, so it's only getting the harmonics that come that the bridge.
That's an old Frank Zappa thing too. Did you know that?
No. Cool. Oh, cool.
With a pickup on the other side of the strings where you're spreading it. And I've made pickups like that before for people.
Oh.
I missed that part of the story when we originally did this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we need to talk about doing one of those. So I built the acoustic one.
Yes.
So I had two strings. I had the two machine heads, and then down on this end I had a knob off of a dresser.
Oh yeah, and you wrap the string around.
Yeah. And so I could tweak that knob, and it would just come right into tune, you know. And the thing sounds quite good. I think it's in my storage space downstairs, but so did the Oregon Country Fair with that. And so the other thing that happened was
you had those.
Yeah, I started.
So I knew the scale length that you wanted to use, which is the distance between the two bridges here.
Yeah, so I left you one of these,
yes.
And took off to Europe. So you know, when I was a kid, my first two like full-on intense musical experiences were, I must have been about 4, and I got a music box that had Brahms' Lullaby on it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, man. And I used to listen to that thing. And then I got a zither.
Yes.
When I was about 6 or 7.
The old German thing with the slide on one part.
And it didn't have a slide. It was just the strings. Okay, but it had these pieces of paper that you would slide up under.
Oh, and you could play.
And it showed you that, you know.
Yeah, right.
So that's what you know.
Not the Third Man theme one, but the yeah, exactly. I know what you're talking about.
So that was the inspiration for the underlays.
Yes.
For this thing.
That's great, man.
So this allows me to, you know, step through the process.
It's been so many years since I did this that I don't remember all.
Forgot how cool it was, didn't you?
Cool. But I do remember you going, I want it to be this size, and I want it to be able to hear it clearly acoustically.
Oh, listen to that.
And electrically.
Yeah.
And I remember having to design a thing with the bracing and everything. You know, this is Honduras mahogany. This is a salt piece, which you can't get anymore. It's not exportable from Honduras anymore.
Oh wow.
So this is old stuff, and it's got braces that run all the way under the top that go under these feet.
So the harmonics guitar idea then called for the two pickups on either end, and the other thing that and I'm pretty sure I got it from Bart, was that the other clue about Pythagoras' trip was that he was interested in what was going on both sides.
Yes, like for instance here.
Exactly. Let's see, let me move around this way. So, Jason gave me, here's the 1/4-inch output to the amp, and then there's a 3-position switch down there.
So you can have either both pickups, or one pickup, and the other pickup, or the other pickup.
So
and these pickups they're electromagnetic, so what they hear is the vibration of the string. That's what a pickup is. A lot of people don't know that.
So what the two pickups then allows us to do is listen to either side of the bridge.
One side here, or that side.
So what ends up happening when the full-on demonstration with it happens is the scale gets built on this side, and the harmonic series gets built on the other side at the same time. You know, the really cool thing for me, like, you know, where it really kicked in for me was I realized it's like I can isolate the harmonic on this side and really, you know, zoom into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then switch back, and then you can hear the harmonic in the tone, and that, I mean, just catapulted my friggin' listening
And they're all
skills.
in tune when you're using a simple instrument like this. It's
not like a guitar.
Yeah.
So I got back from the Oregon Country Fair and got an invitation to go to the middle school and with the harmonochord and do something with, I think it was the 8th grade kids. And I was living, I was house sitting. I had a fantastic house sit down on Lower Gold Beach, right on the water, architected house, looking out the mountain every morning.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a car at the time. Like, I was living on a bicycle, so I strapped the instrument onto the back of the bike. I rode all the way.
You had it in like a burlap sack or something, or a bag or something.
I had some kind of thing for it. I can't remember now.
You know, this all had to be designed just off the top of my head here. You know, because I've never done it before. And look underneath there. There's sound holes under it, and these rubber feet.
Oh yeah, right.
So it holds it up off. So yeah, because that helps it resonate. That's all. You probably even see a brace in it if you.
Yeah, beautifully crafted too. Yeah, I don't have a flashlight.
But you were just carrying it around in a bag or something.
Well, this thing I built a really nice box for it.
Box, yeah.
So I get up to the middle school, I get set up, and this kid comes up, and he says, "Can you play Iron Man on that thing?"
Yeah.
You know.
Good, actually. Sure you did.
And you know.
You could. Little practice.
So I knew right then, you know, if the thing had been plugged into an amplifier, and I had whipped that out.
Yeah. I built it. Was it acoustic originally?
Well, no.
It came back. That was your original.
That afternoon, when I got back to the house, I called you. And I'm like, let's build an electric one. Let's build an electric one. You know, I'll throw the cash at it.
Right. Okay, so originally it was designed as an acoustic instrument.
Well, my original one is acoustic.
Just like yours. Yeah.
And not.
I figured out bracing for it and stuff that I don't think your other one had, or it was.
No. Yeah, the other one's real primitive. It sounds remarkably good.
Sure.
But,
I was working for Bard at Experimental Music Instrument. This was built a long time ago, man. And so I was making these blade pole piece pickups, and I just kind of sort of did how I made for him. I was making ones that were like 16 inches long.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
For like putting in pianos and stuff. This is the old wire I used to use.
And these things sound so good. Oh, hey, I think the amps are.
Oh, absolutely. It's probably working. And I got some lace wood. I put some pretty wood on there to hold it and springs.
Okay, so I'm gonna turn this amp on. That's the chorus.
Yeah, it works.
God, that's great tone, man.
It is. It's good, man.
Oh.
If you put wound strings on there, it would really give it some bottom end.
Well, that's what needs to happen. That's definitely.
Put some wound strings.
I'll do that before we do the demonstration video. So I call this thing the magical string because Robert Hooke, the dude, he was a contemporary of Newton, and they were at each other's throats all the time, neurotic dudes that they were.
Yeah.
And Hooke's law is the spring law that force is directly proportional to tension You know, the basic spring law is Hooke's law.
Yeah, I didn't know
And
that. Yeah.
he was the curator for experiments at the Royal Society of London, and his primary demonstration instrument was a monochord that he called the magical string. So that's where I got that name.
Cool.
And then
Dr. Rubber Hook. Yeah.
And then my buddy Don Barry there as well. So yeah. So
it's an illustrated monochord.
There you go. There you go.
Don't call them tattoos. They're skin illustrations.
We Jason started to work on this thing, and I took off to Europe. Ended up in Ireland.
Yeah.
And
that's a funny story how this got sent.
Yeah, you shipped it. And it ended up in Germany instead.
And you're waiting, going, where's my thing? Where's my thing?
Right? It was
weeks later.
It was like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Weeks later, I got a thing. Oh, you got something at the post office you got to pick up, and it was this. And it got shipped to Germany instead of Ireland. It said Ireland right on it.
And they sent it all the way back to Vashon. Then you sent it back out. And didn't slow things down, just got on my neuroses a bit. So
it wasn't broken either, God thank you.
Yeah. And I'll fill in the rest of the story on another video, but what ended up happening then, is we built that second one. My buddy, my great college friend Drew Garnier and I built the second one. Not.
You built it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I measured this one up and took the plans back to North Carolina to my buddy Drew, and you supplied the pickups.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. Okay. And so we built the second one, the only other one that exists, and donated it to the Music and Media Technologies Department at Trinity College in Dublin.
Okay. And you pretty much did it off the pattern on this thing.
Yeah, just measured up, copied it.
Same bracing and everything.
Yeah, exactly the same. And
cool.
So now the Natural Philosopher Project is entered in the Buckminster Fuller Challenge, and Dr. Dermot Furlong at Trinity is one of my references for the contest. Yeah. And had I told you that?
No.
The deadline for entry was back in October, and it's open to any Bucky-esque kind of project, and $100K those fraudulent Federal Reserve notes as first prize.
Well, I'd rather have $100K of those and I don't know, $100K toilet paper.
Well, we'll see. I'm getting these great lines, these blue lines that show up in this camera. It looks really cool.
It's a rainbow.
Yeah, it looks really great. Hey, we will, there'll be more in the very near future on this stuff, and you guys have fun. We'll talk to you soon.